Welcome to AskFOI, where we answer the most common questions we receive about prophecy, Israel, and the Bible. With me by video from Israel is Danny Kalisher. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Danny, you were born and live in Israel, so I'm excited to get your perspective on today's question. Simchat Torah, it may be a lesser-known holiday here in the United States, so tell us, what is Simchat Torah?
Okay, that's a good question. So Simchat Torah, the meaning in English is the rejoice in the Torah, rejoice in the law. And it is being celebrated on the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles. The name rejoice of the law is not original in the Bible, but it's something that came later. And it's actually on Shmini Atzeret. Some people believe, I personally believe that Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, is a separate feast from the Feast of Tabernacles, even though they're very connected. And the background is that on the Feast of Tabernacles, God said that the people should sit in Sukkah, in a temporary kind of, not a building, but how do you call it? A tabernacle, a sukkah. And they do that in order to remember that God brought them out of Egypt, and they were sitting in the desert, waiting to go to the promised land. And in the Feast of Tabernacles in Sukkot, God is telling the people of Israel that they should rejoice. It's a very happy holiday. Personally, it's my favorite, because you have on one side, also the joy of being, celebrating God's faithfulness and rescue from being a slave to sin and being free to worship Him, and also, going out of Egypt. But you can actually eat good food. Unlike Passover, that you're restricted to matzah and this kind of stuff. So it's really a lovely family time. It's a lovely feast. And then also God said that every 7 years, the people of Israel need to read the entire law. So today, Simchat Torah, the rejoice of the law, is because eventually we finish to read the law, and then we start over again. So basically today in synagogues, when they celebrate, when religious people celebrate Simchat Torah in the synagogues, they do hakafot. They take the Torah scrolls, they take them and they do circles around the synagogue, 7 circles, as a sign of completion. And then they start reading the Torah from the beginning, from Genesis, kind of, symbolizing the completeness and also the new beginning. So it's a very special day, very joyful day, that you just celebrate the Word of God. You celebrate God's faithfulness for, also for the agricultural year, for a new year that is coming, praying for a rain. It's a very special time in the year.
What's that day like in Israel? Is there anything specific that might surprise our viewers that you do in Israel on this holiday?
Okay, you would be surprised that most Israelis don't even know about this day. Shmini Atzeret, if you would talk to the average person in the street, if you would ask him what is Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, I don't know if most of them would know. It's mostly the religious population that celebrate in the synagogues, and it is a very special day, a very joyful day, like I said before, because they celebrate the Word of God. They celebrate the end reading of the Torah and the beginning again of reading the Torah. That is why I believe it was also so painful and so hard when the 7th of October actually happened on Simchat Torah, on such a special day, a joyful day became a very hard memory. And that's why I think also for many Jewish religious people, it's very important to not let the devil and not let evil people take the joy of this day. And it's really a struggle, you know. Every time on Simchat Torah, it's mixed emotions. It's celebrating the Word of God, but also remembering that there is a fight against evil in this world.
I'm curious, Danny, are there any ties to Simchat Torah and the gospel?
Yes, I believe so. We know that the purpose of the law is to point at Messiah. It says so in Romans 10:4. And the appointed times that the Lord gave to the nation of Israel, they're a symbol and they're a shadow of the plan of salvation of God to the nation of Israel and all the people around the world. So we need to understand, okay, what is this plan of salvation? And like I said before, in short, because it's a really big topic that would be very interesting to study, but just in short, sitting in the Sukkah and celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles is celebrating something that is temporary. The Sukkah was temporary. It's a temporary building until you go into the Promised Land. And I believe that this is what it symbolizes. It symbolizes our life here until we get into eternity. And this is what the eighth day, the General Assembly on the eighth day, this is what it symbolizes. Our entrance into the eternal rest, the Promised Land. And that is what we as believers look forward to.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much for being with us, Danny.
Glad I could be here. Thank you.